Welcome to a special edition of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. I'm JOC, and today we're diving deep into President Trump's whirlwind of day one executive orders that are already reshaping America's political landscape. In this power-packed episode, we're breaking down the massive wave of executive actions signed in the first 24 hours of Trump's second term. We'll cover everything from the dramatic border security overhaul and emergency declarations to game-changing inflation measures that could affect your wallet. Plus, we'll explore the major shifts in energy policy, government reform, and some surprising geographical name changes that have everyone talking. Get ready for a fascinating look at these sweeping changes, backed by reporting from the Epoch Times and other major news sources. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single detail of this historic day. Let's jump right in. Let's dive into what's arguably the most dramatic set of executive actions from day one, the border security and immigration overhaul. According to the Epoch Times, President Trump wasted no time signing 10 executive actions targeting the border crisis, starting with a national emergency declaration that paves the way for military deployment to the southern border and the completion of the border wall. In a major policy shift, Trump has officially reinstated the Remain in Mexico program and ended the controversial catch-and-release policy. This means asylum seekers will no longer be able to live and work in the United States while their claims are being processed, a practice that experts say contributed to the arrival of approximately 11 million illegal immigrants over the past 4 years. Perhaps the most contentious order tackles birthright citizenship, setting up what's likely to be a heated legal battle. The order challenges the long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment, which was established by the Supreme Court's 1898 ruling in United States versus Wong Kim Ark that granted citizenship to children born on U.S. soil regardless of their parents' immigration status. The president also designated drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and brought back capital punishment for certain crimes against federal agents. Additionally, he's ordered a pause on refugee resettlement and implemented new deportation protocols. These actions effectively dismantle many of the immigration policies put in place by the Biden administration, marking a dramatic shift in how the United States handles border security and immigration enforcement. Let's turn our attention to the economy, where President Trump has launched an aggressive campaign to tackle inflation through a comprehensive memorandum titled Delivering Emergency Price Relief for American Families and Defeating the Cost of Living Crisis. According to White House sources, this whole-of-government approach aims to reverse what Trump called unprecedented regulatory oppression that he claims has cost the average American household nearly $50,000. The president's plan targets multiple sectors, including expanding housing supply, cutting healthcare administrative costs, and eliminating what he terms harmful climate policies that drive up food and fuel prices. This comes as the nation grapples with a cumulative inflation rate of 21% over the last 4 years, though current annual inflation sits at 2.9%. On the trade front, Trump has unveiled plans for a radical overhaul of America's trade relationships. While he's holding off on immediate new tariffs, he's put Canada and Mexico on notice, threatening 25% tariffs by February 1st if they don't address his concerns about trade policies. China is also in his crosshairs, particularly regarding the TikTok situation. Perhaps most notably, Trump has announced the creation of an external revenue service, a new agency designed to collect tariffs, duties, and revenues from foreign businesses and countries. As he explained to reporters, instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. While some economists warn these policies could reignite inflation, Treasury nominee Scott Bessent has argued that a careful implementation could offset potential price increases through dollar appreciation and changes in consumer behavior. President Trump wasted no time reshaping America's energy and climate policy landscape, declaring a national energy emergency on day one. Speaking at the Capital One Arena, he proclaimed, "We will drill, baby, drill," announcing plans to unlock millions of acres in Alaska for fossil fuel development. This dramatic shift includes an executive order dubbed Unleash American Energy that streamlines permitting processes and loosens regulations across the board. The Department of Interior has been directed to restore oil and gas leasing on 13 million acres in Alaska's National Petroleum Reserve, effectively reversing Biden-era restrictions. Trump's vision extends to offshore drilling as well, with orders that reopen 625 million acres off both the east and west coasts. In a major international move, Trump has again withdrawn the United States from the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement. While the formal exit will take a year, the president was clear about his reasoning, stating, "The United States will not sabotage our own industries while China pollutes with impunity." The White House projects this withdrawal will save taxpayers $1 trillion. On the automotive front, Trump has dismantled Biden's electric vehicle agenda, rescinding the executive order that targeted 50% zero-emission vehicle sales by decade's end. Current EV sales stand at just 8.1%, according to Cox Automotive. The new administration has explicitly committed to eliminating electric vehicle subsidies and state fuel emissions waivers, with Trump promising auto workers they'll build cars in America again at unprecedented rates, emphasizing consumer choice. You'll be able to buy the car of your choice. Now let's dive into some massive changes coming to how our government operates. Trump signed a series of executive orders aimed at completely overhauling federal bureaucracy and social policies. First up, there's a freeze on hiring new bureaucrats except for what's deemed essential positions. Plus, federal workers, listen up. You're headed back to the office. Only 6% of federal employees currently work in person, but that's about to change with mandatory return to office orders. In a bold move targeting free speech, Trump signed an order explicitly banning government censorship, declaring it intolerable in a free society. The order directs the Attorney General to investigate any past abuses of Americans' free speech rights under the previous administration and puts a stop to federal funding for so-called misinformation initiatives. The administration is taking aim at DEI programs across the federal government. The new executive order ends all federal programs and preferences based on race, sex, gender, or other immutable characteristics. Trump made it clear in his inauguration speech, saying, "We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based." Perhaps one of the most striking changes comes in gender policy, with Trump declaring it official U.S. policy that there are only two genders, male and female. The order also includes protections for women's privacy in intimate spaces and pushes back against enforced pronoun policies. And in what might seem like an unexpected move, Trump's ordering some geographic name changes. Mount McKinley will be restored as the name of North America's tallest peak, replacing Denali, and the Gulf of Mexico will now be known as the Gulf of America in all official government documents and maps. In a dramatic move on his first day back in office, President Trump followed through on his campaign promise regarding January 6 defendants, issuing pardons for approximately 1,500 individuals charged in connection with the Capitol breach. "You're going to see a lot of action on the J6 hostages," Trump declared earlier at the Capitol before signing the executive order. The pardons came just hours after Biden issued his own series of preemptive pardons on his way out of office. When questioned about Biden's last-minute pardons, Trump responded pointedly, questioning the timing and recipients. "Why are we trying to help a guy like Milley? Why are we helping Liz Cheney?" In a separate but equally dramatic action, Trump signed an executive order targeting what his administration calls election interference. The order specifically addresses the controversial 2020 letter signed by 51 former intelligence officials who dismissed the Hunter Biden laptop story as potential Russian disinformation. As a direct consequence, 49 of these intelligence officials have had their security clearances revoked, including some big names like former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta. The order also stripped security clearance from former National Security Advisor John Bolton, citing concerns over sensitive information included in his 2019 memoir. Looking forward, the order instructs the Director of National Intelligence to develop new safeguards against future election interference and requires preservation of all records related to what Trump terms political persecutions under the previous administration. According to reporting from the Epoch Times, this move signals a broader initiative to address what the new administration views as partisan weaponization of government institutions that should maintain political neutrality. And that wraps up our special coverage of President Trump's historic first day back in office. We've witnessed an unprecedented flurry of executive actions that will reshape American policy on multiple fronts. From border security to energy independence, from economic policy to government reform. These executive orders represent some of the most sweeping day one changes we've seen from any administration, touching everything from renaming the Gulf of Mexico to dismantling DEI programs across federal agencies. Their impact will likely be felt for years to come, though legal challenges to several of these orders are already in the works. For continuing coverage of these developing stories and their implications, make sure to follow us on X at RantingRP. Thank you for listening to this special edition of Ranting Politics Headline Updates. This is JOC, signing off until next time. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay free.